Good morning. Welcome to day 2 of DestiCon. I want to thank everyone so much for coming to day 1. We had great feedback on our speakers, just really great things to share and be part of. Day 2 is our last day. Happy Friday the 13th. Just a couple of house cleaning items in the lobby page. I would love it if everyone could drop their LinkedIn bio or how to connect and network with everyone. We'll have another networking session a little later today. The way networking works, by the way, in Excel events is you get in, and we want as many people to get in as possible because it's like speed dating. You get matched with someone. So you can decide to turn your camera on or off. It's not a problem either way. We also have lounges today. We're going to have some special guests with Women in Tourism and Travel International in the lounge. And we've got some great programming, including what we're going to start with, talking about Oculus and the Metaverse, and then we're moving into Destination Marketing Podcast with Adam Stoker, and I'm really pumped to hear about that one. Tourism is a community shared value with Jared at the Relic Agency. Then we have from RFP to realization, the entire planner process. Christian Cruz, my partner, is going to be moderating that panel. And then we have Laurie Rowe, who's going to talk about travel media and earned media. So without further ado, let's get into our session this morning. And let me do these nifty little tech things here to share my screen. Awesome. So we're going to talk about the Oculus, VR, AR, AI, and the Metaverse a little bit this morning. But we're going to get very practical about it. So I don't think I need my tinfoil hat this morning. So let's get into some practicalities here. Friday 13th, but new tech isn't scary. I'm going to take us back to a little story here. So I actually started in technology very, very early, just was really enthused and motivated by what technology can do. I got my first computer in 1984. I taught myself how to code. Probably couldn't do much of that anymore, but that's really what launched me off into being very, very excited about tech. Fast forward to when the internet came about, obviously I was all in it, all over it. And those who know me personally know that I actually met my husband on the internet. We married on our 3rd date, and now 25 years and 4 children later, I'm definitely not scared of new tech. But as the internet was coming about and I got off of my professional relationship with the travel industry, it was really, really hard to get DMOs to want a website. We don't need that. People go to visitor centers. They have our visitors guides. We don't need that sort of thing. So it was quite a challenge to talk about what's coming and those trends, in the early days of the internet. So now we're at a new precipice, and I don't want to say just right now. This has been coming on for a while, but there's some new opportunities and some new challenges. And if you guys were part of my talk yesterday, then we talk about the different kinds of change, and there's slow change, there's emergency change, which is like the pandemic, for instance, and then there's opportunity. And I think what we're going to talk about just a few minutes today is slow and opportunity. And I really want us to open our minds and our hearts to this because it's slow and opportunity now, but very soon, before we even know it, it's going to be an emergency situation for DMOs and other travel companies. So again, seeing the opportunity, heard this a lot. No one's going to put their credit card on the internet, Jennifer. So destinations did not jump in to have booking engines. And so OTAs, the Travelocities, the Expedias, they exist because we were resistant in a lot of ways to opportunity and change here. So let's be realistic about what taught us in travel. So visitor guides, visitor centers, and travel agents has absolutely not gone away, but they have been augmented, much like what's happening with the Metaverse now. So that has turned into websites, into apps, into online travel agencies like Expedia, Travelocity, with the exception, of course, of like international travel that needs a lot more help in terms of the travel agent. But what's interesting about jumping on the trend, So what's interesting about jumping on those trends, though, once we got, just as a holistic environment, once we got destinations and other travel companies to embrace getting on the web and being part of the internet economy, We had the websites coming out very, very quickly, very rudimentary and not really sophisticated. And then we moved really fast because it's a fear of missing out. So then websites boomed. And now we honestly have kind of a website economy environment in the destination space where you can slap a hand over that logo and you may not even be sure where you are. So we've gone too far into the Me Too terms of look and that sort of thing. So I want us to be looking at this as an opportunity to stand out again, to be as individual as your community and your destination. Surprisingly, the metaverse, which I know has become popular to talk about again because of that weird, creepy Facebook Meta Mark Zuckerberg presentation that was done, but it's actually a lot more about real estate. And if you think about digital real estate, we're used to it already. We're just not familiar that we're used to it. And what's happening is there's already cities, there's already real estate out there. 13% of individuals in the US already own or rent land in the metaverse. What's surprising is baby boomers comprise 18% of that. If we look over here, let's look at some of our stats. And this is more about home real estate than it is tourism, but we're going to tie that in just a little bit. So the type of virtual property most people are interested in buying is a customized home, again, something that they don't have necessarily in their own. And this is more about virtual reality than augmented reality, which is another thing we'll hit in just a few. A lot of people want their own private island. I mean, hey, if you can't have it in real life, you can create it that way. So again, this is about owned. I find it really interesting that a lot of people mention they want their childhood home, property with a virtual community, property close to a virtual downtown. That's another thing that people are looking for as they are getting these virtual pieces in the metaverse is they want to already go into a community that has been somewhat developed. And Cinch is one of these home service platforms that's already built out in New York City. They built out several spaces there. So the thing about the virtual space too is that you can have more than one New York City, right? So whoever builds that better, does that whatever. It's unlimited amount of space because it's not realized in real land. The other factors people were looking for, as I mentioned, close to a virtual version of a downtown area, a version of their current home. 16% of respondents were looking for office space. You may have seen a lot going on. LinkedIn has some trending articles about people already using virtual reality as office space. We actually did this pretty early on. Kristen and I did, right when the first version of the Oculus came out. We had some virtual space to get together. We had big screens. We could watch easily. It felt like you were right next to each other versus, in terms of a screen being a little further apart. And again, I mentioned we're already used to virtual real estate. For instance, domains. Travel.com is now an estimated price of 360 grand. Remember when URLs, and you can get open URLs for like $9. So again, their virtual real estate becomes very, very valuable at some point. In tourism realms, virtual reality became popular over the pandemic, of course, with fully immersive VR experiences that let that user get in the feeling of being there. So there's some opportunities here and some challenges. So part of the challenge with having a virtual reality vacation experience is people are worried that that means it's going to take away or decrease real visitation. I don't see this as a trend happening really at all. People are always going to want to go in person. We're not going to turn into Ready Player One where we live in the Oculus anytime in our lifetime. But we are able to have experiences that make us dream about it. You've got to first go there in the mind before you go there in the body. So the feeling of being there is really important when it comes to the virtual reality and tourism experiences. It could even be a small, almost 360 kind of walkthrough. Think about a virtual visitor guide in this way, so they get a little taste of it, but not the whole thing. Interacting that environment and discovering more through their senses, because it feels so much. If you haven't used one yet, I really encourage you to get in there and try. It's unrealistic just how much you feel like you're out of this world and into this world. VR yoga classes, nature walks, stargazing, and bird watching have become very popular ways for a location to show off everything it has to offer. So where is the metaverse? Again, we talk about that being digital, and it being also unlimited. That's really a matter of downloading an app. So you have different apps in your Oculus or your virtual reality. Now, when it comes to augmented reality, it's also an app, but that app is going to be more here on your phone to augment what you're seeing around you and not wearing a full headset where you can't see around you. So let's talk VR versus AR. Okay, so huge distinctions. I mentioned virtual reality is fully immersive, and augmented reality is reality with perks, so to speak. So Google Maps are already doing some augmented reality, and I bet you guys have already experienced augmented reality. If you've ever gone to Amazon and looked at buying a table for your house or a chair or a planner, it allows you to place that in your room. That's augmented reality. So augmented reality to me feels like the easiest, natural, quickest way for tourism companies and destinations to get into this whole metaverse piece and a step in. So let's take it, for instance, let's say we're visiting Ireland. And while we're visiting Ireland, we want to see what it was like during a certain time period in history. An augmented reality piece you could hold up to several major landmarks and maybe see, people from a different era, and it can be as realistic as you want it to be. I know, again, this whole new metaverse talk and what Mark Zuckerberg has done, they look goofy, they're super avatars, but with the right studio and the right creative, it can be very realistic. So augmented reality can also, like Google Maps, help conventioners move around the city and see the rest of the city while they're there for a conference. Maybe it's, hey, this way you can just hit this coffee shop, which has the best scones, the best whatever. So it can also be a visitor assistant. And I think this is where it makes the most logical step to start if you're looking at getting into the metaverse, augmented or virtual reality. So as I mentioned, a lot of people are doing workrooms and work now. That actually is a very, very popular thing to happen. And when they do it, it just feels like they're in the office together. There are companies that have whole office buildings, virtual workrooms. Horizon is one of those places that has worked with Facebook to create these. And again, they're going to look very different depending on which part of the metaverse you want to go. Some of them are going to look like this, and you can choose your avatars. But also the thing that happens when you have the Oculus and the face piece of it is your avatars mimic your actual facial features. So you get to see, people's expressions. You get to feel like that person's right next to you versus across the room for you. There's a lot of benefits, and remote work is going to be here for a while. There are a lot of benefits actually to using virtual reality workrooms. That's another way. If you can do a virtual reality workroom, maybe you brand it with your destination, your city. So planners pre-coming to your place have a place to work out and do their things as well. So all of this, any way you look at the metaverse, can be completely experienced and immersed in your brand and your destination. There's also, of course, the Horizon worlds. Now, these worlds don't necessarily even mimic our real worlds, as you see, very space age, very futuristic. Again, it feels like, this may be a child's play or that sort of thing, but children are the ones who usher in new trends very quickly. There were only children on TikTok until the pandemic hit. So we have to watch for that slow change and then a very quick thing. But again, the worlds, these are already being created. People are not going to be living in these worlds. It's a lot of gamification, but it's going to get actually way better too in terms of the visuals. If any of you or your kids or someone who's really into gaming, look at the way that the games are now from the PlayStation 5 and those. They're so ultra realistic, and that's going to continue to happen. AI art is really popular right now. I know a lot of you may have done your AI avatars, but also just a fun fact here, AI art cannot be copyrighted. So there's going to be some, and I don't not know enough to tell the right advice on this, but there's going to be a lot of legality issues too about who owns what's where, what you can copyright. So that would also be something I would investigate as a destination is what can you own? If you own this in real life, what can you really copyright and own besides your own brand? So also, I'm not going to go super deep into what an NFT is, but that is the way people are purchasing real estate online. As you can see a little screenshot here. I can buy a little plot in Orange County for $68, or I can go to Brooklyn, New York for $135. Now, what I do with that real estate, again, would be up to the creator. There's going to be rules. You have to think about real estate a lot like it is in real life. There will be rules, maybe homeowner associations. So you've got to think about what you could build there. There's already people popping up in these places who are buying little shops, and they're selling, let's say, clothing for the avatar. So they're already making money in terms of turning this into a realized business. And on a very basic level, an NFT is a non-fungible token, which basically means it's got its own DNA. So it's more like a collectible. So these are definitely very much collection type things in terms of real estate. So again, let's talk about immersive virtual traveling, and that's going to be our VR piece, of course. Immersive virtual traveling is where, maybe you just get a little slice or a full slice or a certain tour that you can't take in real life. I mentioned, augmented reality having history. I think immersive virtual traveling is going to have something really big. If you can, visit certain places during major historical events. That's a great opportunity for virtual traveling. Any sort of thing that can't be done in real life is a great way to get into the metaverse and get into virtual reality without taking anything away from your natural and real product in real life. And then augmented virtual discovery. I would jump on this, guys, yesterday. Like, what are those little things that you can do to make that experience just that much better? It gives you a huge competitive advantage before everybody gets on the metaverse, like everybody got on websites and it becomes homogenized and all looks the same. This is your opportunity to really stand out and be a trailblazer. So enhancing the travel experience, not replacing, is really what I want you guys to take away. But as we're sitting in here, we've got a few people live. Let's tell us where you're from. Let's have some chat going. Just going to leave me with some dead air here. That's all right. So yes, just want to, come back and let you know that this is the next place that I would really be looking. Hey, Dakota. And thank you, Dakota, who's been in the back end for us this whole couple of days. Hey, Alyssa. Well, we just visited virtual New York. I'm glad you're in real New York. Hopefully it's not too chilly up there. Iowa's beautiful. Hey, Rebecca. Hey, Lisa. It's great to see you. Awesome. I really wish I was in St. Augustine right now. It's chilly in Phoenix, but great. I just wanted to, again, I kind of go over all this and let you guys know this is something to not be scared of. It's something I would start thinking about in terms of my strategy. I would get a really good look. Hey, Jennifer. Hey, Dave. Hey, Veronica. So guys are here this morning. We've got some good stuff here. So I just want to make sure to kind of walk through here and let you guys know not to be scared of this. It's something you should already be doing. You should also really look into what is the real estate that touches your destination, your travel company, your tour company. There's already something out there that exists. It's important to get a landscape and an understanding of what that is, and then start a strategic approach. Maybe it's, again, can be a slow and an opportunity. Maybe it's this year you find out what the deal is, like what are the opportunities and what the deal is. Alyssa, wow, that's a great question. Will there be advertising like print media in the metaverse and the metaverse agencies managing? Yes, actually that's already happening too. There's advertising. Let me go back to that little New York screen for you because I want to give a quick look at this. So if you look in the bottom corner here, you see the billboards. Those can be done. Again, it's who owns the real estate. It's going to be very much like real life. So very much like real life, you're going to have someone who owns the real estate and sells that. You're also going to have streaming and advertising companies like display that pops up. I know you guys, and I'm had a loss of words of the movie, but the Tom Cruise movie where, they predict crime, so they stop it, and he walks into a Gap, and there's somebody up here that says, "Hey, Mr. So-and-so, how did you like those pants that you bought last time?" And you have this and you have that. So pop-ups are going to come back, and pop-ups are going to come back in the way of, happening in your Oculus or happening in the Metaverse first. But yes, if there's a way to advertise and make money, then they're going to be there. And also, Walmart is a massive sponsor right now on Roblox. And if you've got children of school age, you probably know what Roblox is way too much. That's another thing to think about is, when you look at thing like a luxury product, like a Mercedes, they start marketing to children so that they start seeding that quite a ways. And kids are the greatest way to turn to mom and say, "Oh, hey, we need to get this so-and-so, or I want to go somewhere. I want to go do this. I want to, do that part of it." So think about that too, in terms of some augmented experiences, but advertising, wow, it's already making a mint over there. That's a great question. I want to open it up for any other questions because I'm a super fast talking Texan and I don't want to miss any opportunity to talk. Let me get back on my track here. And if anybody wants the deck from either yesterday or today or any of our speaker decks, reach out to us. All of this is going to be on demand for at least 30 days, and we're happy to give you those decks as well. So this, again, is what I would do in terms of if I were in your position and looking at this opportunity, which is now an opportunity. I don't want it to become an emergency for you, is get that research done, find out what's happening. Then you're going to ideate. After you ideate, the next thing you do is you go to a studio. So all of these imagined areas are basically virtual studios in a house. So they can do different things, just like Facebook has different types of things that you can do on Facebook versus what you can do on TikTok. The way you can customize your own page is very different, social media platform to social media platform. The same thing happens at the studio. There's going to be restrictions and opportunities to figure out how you create things there, whether that's complete virtual reality or whether that's augmented reality. And then the third thing you're going to think about is kind of what Alyssa just said, which is how are you going to promote? Are you going to advertise? Are you going to have, print and billboards? Are you going to, tease it on your YouTube to let people know that there's an augmented experience next time they visit you? So those three major areas, which are usual to all of us, I'm sure, in marketing. Awesome. Well, I'm going to leave it open for just a couple more questions, but we are going to be working on a think tank this year on this very, very thing. Good question, Alyssa. Can you only access the metaverse from an app versus a landing page for a popular destination website to showcase what the location offers? So it's not quite it's not HTML. So it's not really a website, but yes, you can do it without an app, or you can do it through someone else's app. Like, for instance, if Facebook offers augmented reality experience when you're someplace, you could push it through there. But as it is now, again, it's more appy than it is website, and it's all based on studios. But would really love for anybody to join our think tank this year. We're going to dive into topics like this and the future of tech and travel. Very heavy this year. I think we've got a level. We have an opportunity to level up. Travel's coming back in such an amazing demand. We see a very shallow recession happening. So this is the time to make some hay. Let's stop sharing. Again, thank you all so much. And I hope you're getting ready for our next session. We'll have a little break before it. But up next is Adam Stoker with Destination Marketing Podcast. And by the way, if your destination, your travel company, your tour company doesn't have a podcast, it's an amazing owned media opportunity for you guys. So y'all make sure to dial into him, go to the lobby, talk to each other, connect with people if you'd like. Really appreciate y'all being here for DestiCon, and we'll see you in just a few.